A crowded flight, a stolen seat, and an arrogant assumption spark a chain of events no one saw coming. When a white woman claims a seat in first class and refuses to move, she thinks she's outsmarted the system. What she doesn't realize is that the black man standing quietly in front of her isn't just another passenger. He's the CEO who owns the airline. And when the truth comes out, the entire cabin falls silent. The airport buzzed with the familiar chaos of a busy afternoon. Luggage rolled across polished tiles, voices echoed against high ceilings, and the faint scent of coffee and jet fuel lingered in the air. At gate C-23, passengers lined up for boarding, eager to escape the noise and settle into their seats. Among them was Darius Cole, a tall, sharply dressed man in his late 40s. His charcoal suit was crisp, his shoes shined to perfection, but there was a quiet ease in the way he carried himself. His presence drew glances, not because people knew who he was, but because there was something unmistakably commanding about him. Darius wasn't just another traveler heading out on business. He was the CEO of the very airline operating this flight, a fact he rarely flaunted, preferring to move through the world like any other passenger. He approached the gate, scanned his boarding pass, and gave the agent a polite nod. Priority boarding was a routine for him, one of the few perks of endless flights. He walked down the jet bridge, stepped into the aircraft, and turned toward first class. His seat, 2A, a spacious window seat, was waiting for him. Or at least, it should have been. But when he reached his row, he froze. A woman was already seated there. Blonde hair pulled into a tight bun, pearl earrings gleaming, she sat with her legs crossed, a designer handbag on the seat beside her. She was scrolling through her phone, sipping a sparkling water she had somehow already been served. Darius paused, glanced at his boarding pass, then back at the seat. He smiled politely. "Excuse me, I believe you're in my seat." The woman looked up, her eyes narrowing slightly as she took him in. Then, with a dismissive smirk, she shook her head. "No, I'm in 2A. This is my seat." Darius tilted his head calm. "I'm sorry, but my boarding pass says 2A. Maybe you're in 2B?" Her voice grew sharper. "No. I specifically requested a window seat. This is mine. You must have made a mistake." The cabin crew member passing by overheard the exchange and stepped in. "Is there a problem here?" Darius turned, still composed. "Yes. My boarding pass is for 2A, but this passenger is already seated there." The flight attendant, a young man in a neatly pressed uniform, addressed the woman. "Ma'am, may I see your boarding pass, please?" The woman huffed, rolling her eyes. "This is ridiculous. Do I look like I don't belong here?" She reached into her handbag and pulled out a crumpled boarding pass. She held it up without handing it over. The attendant leaned closer, squinting. His eyebrows lifted. "Ma'am, your boarding pass says 12C. That's an economy seat." The color drained from her face for a fraction of a second, but she quickly recovered, her voice rising. "Well, I asked for a seat upgrade at the gate. They told me it would be fine. Why should I have to move now? He can sit somewhere else." She waved a hand at Darius as though he were an inconvenience, not a person. The cabin grew tense. Nearby passengers turned to watch, whispering. A man in 2C shook his head. A woman across the aisle muttered, "Unbelievable," under her breath. Darius didn't raise his voice. He didn't flinch. He simply stood there, calm as stone, while the attendant pressed on. "Ma'am, I'm afraid no such upgrade was processed. This seat belongs to this gentleman." Her lips curled into a sneer. "Oh, please. Do you honestly think I'm giving up this seat for him? Look at him. He probably doesn't even fly first class." Gasps rippled through the cabin. The audacity in her words hung in the air like smoke. The flight attendant's face tightened. "Ma'am, that language is unacceptable. You'll need to move to your assigned seat now." But the woman leaned back in the chair, folding her arms defiantly. "I'm not moving. And if you want me out, you'll have to drag me." The murmurs around them grew louder. Phones tilted slightly, cameras rolling. People knew they were witnessing something that wouldn't stay private for long. Darius finally spoke again, his voice low but firm. I don't want a scene. I just want the seat I paid for. Please move. She laughed bitterly. Paid for? Do you even know how much this seat costs? I highly doubt you can afford it. That was the moment the cabin shifted. The disdain in her voice, the arrogance dripping from her words, pushed the tension to a breaking point. Even the passengers who had stayed quiet now exchanged incredulous looks. One man muttered, "She did not just say that." A woman whispered to her husband, "This is going viral." The attendant stepped aside, unsure what to do next, when Darius exhaled slowly and reached into the inside pocket of his blazer. He pulled out a sleek leather wallet and removed a slim, embossed card. He held it out, steady, to the attendant. "Would you please read that out loud?" Darius asked. The attendant frowned but obliged. His voice wavered slightly as he read. Darius Cole, Chief Executive Officer, Atlantic Skies Airlines. The cabin went silent. Dead silent. Every passenger within earshot froze. The woman's smirk vanished. Her face went pale, her eyes darting from the card to Darius's steady gaze. He slipped the card back into his wallet. "This airline is mine," he said, his tone calm but laced with authority. "Every seat, every plane, every policy, all under my watch. And right now you are sitting in my seat." The weight of his words hit like thunder. A hush fell over the entire cabin, broken only by the sound of someone in the back whispering, "Oh my God!" Another passenger started clapping slowly, the sound growing louder as others joined in. The woman's jaw opened and closed, but no words came out. Her arrogance had melted into shock, then embarrassment, then fear. She scrambled to grab her bag, her hands fumbling. "I didn't know. I didn't mean," she stammered. Darius didn't gloat. He didn't smirk or raise his voice. He simply stepped aside, letting her squeeze out of the seat. She shuffled down the aisle, red-faced, as phones captured every second. The flight attendant cleared his throat nervously. "Mr. Cole, we deeply apologize for the misunderstanding." Darius nodded, sitting down in 2A at last. "Don't apologize to me," he said quietly. "Apologize to every passenger who has ever been treated as less than because someone assumed they didn't belong." The words landed hard. A wave of applause surged through the cabin, louder this time, echoing against the walls of the plane. The woman sank into her economy seat, face hidden behind her hair, while Darius sat tall, gazing out the window. By the time the flight landed, the video had already exploded online. Millions watched as arrogance turned to humiliation in the blink of an eye. Headlines read, "Woman steals seat from Black CEO, learns he owns the airline." The airline stock spiked as passengers praised its CEO's composure. The woman, on the other hand, faced a storm of backlash. But Darius? He never said another word publicly. He didn't need to. The world had already heard him loud and clear. If this story left you stunned, hit that like button so more people can hear it. Share it with someone who needs a reminder that respect costs nothing. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that prove dignity always takes the front seat.